Hey guys, Brian from Brian Boas here. I'm lucky to have a really great collection of boa constrictors. But even amongst all these boas, there's a few in particular I just really enjoy getting out and handling. Today I want to show you guys some of my favorite boas that I like to get out and handle. I'm also going to show you quite a good variety of different types of boas that make great pets. So if you're looking for your next pet boa, be sure to stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, this is the place for information about all aspects of keeping and breeding boas in captivity. So if you like what you see, I'd appreciate if you consider subscribing. It really helps the growth of the channel, and I greatly appreciate your support. As I've discussed in some of my other videos, some types of boas just make better pets. They're just more handleable than other types of boas. But even among different types of boas, there are certain individual boas in particular that are more mellow and handleable. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Some of my favorite individual boas that I just love to handle. And these are animals that I almost always will go and get out when some of my non-snake keeping friends come over and they want to see a pet boa. Because these boas are just great representatives of boas as pets and why we love these animals so much. And so this is the first one. This is a Suriname true red-tail boa. And honestly, Suriname true red-tails are probably not the most handleable types of boas. Probably not the best as far as a pet if you want to just get it out and handle. But this particular animal is kind of an exception. So this guy is named Mr. Pink. He's actually the most recent animal that I've added to the collection other than some of my holdbacks. And I acquired him through a rehoming. One of the Brian Boas viewers, unfortunately, had to rehome him and reached out to me. And first I was a little bit reluctant since I have so many nice Surinames already and limited room in my collection. But I'm really glad that I adopted this guy because he's just so beautiful and so mellow. Just a really great Surrey. He's not at all squeezy like some of my others, and he's very calm and just super handleable, and also gorgeous animal, so much pink. This guy was produced by Brian Abramson in 2019 from a cross of a Florida Red Tails with a Tudahope, which he calls the Florida Hope, I think. Anyway, he's got a kind of a cool name for it. But this guy is just a great boa. Just love this guy. Looks different from my Surinames, so it's great to add some diversity to the breeding group. And looking forward to watching this guy grow in the years ahead, and hopefully he'll be ready to breed maybe 2 or 3 years from now. Next on my list of really handleable boas is this one. This is an anerythristic Paraguana Peninsula Boa from northern Venezuela. And I really like this guy because he's kind of the best of both worlds. He kind of bridges the locality boa with the morph boa. This guy is from a small peninsula called the Paraguana Peninsula, or northwest Venezuela, but he's also a color variant, a naturally occurring anerythristic form that lacks the reds and yellows. So he's kind of a morph, a locality specific morph. So just a really great boa. These guys are also great because they're kind of a dwarf form. This guy is pretty much full size at about 4 feet long. Pretty mellow, very beautiful to look at. I've never seen another anerythristic boa that was this beautiful. And they just kind of hang out, they're not too active. They definitely have this nice muscle. These guys are not a true red tail. They're actually a boa imperator, but they have a lot of characteristics of the true red tails, which actually occur in Venezuela and South America south there. So this is kind of like a borderline species existing in the close to the boundary between boa imperator and boa constrictor in the wild. So a lot of really cool biology, both the genetics and the evolution behind this particular animal. But also a great pet, great to handle. Definitely one of my favorite boas. So this guy is actually the mascot of the Brian Boas YouTube channel, and I did a poll several months ago with the names, to nominate what we would call this guy, and you guys voted to call him Anubis. So this is Anubis, the Paraguana Peninsula, anerythristic Paraguana Peninsula boa. Next on my list of favorite boas to handle is this one. This is a short-tailed boa, Boa Constrictor amarali, also known as the Bolivian boa. And these animals have kind of a cult following. They're not the most popular or well-known boa, but among people that like them, they're like super popular. And they're known to be a very responsive and almost intelligent appearing boa. Many people claim that when they open up the enclosure, they come out and look at them almost like a dog. And what I found is they're really mellow and very handleable, not aggressive. They're also quite thick and muscular. They're kind of the stoutest boa as far as their length. And you know, the name short tail, they do actually have quite a short tail relative to their length. You know, probably the shortest of any boa. You can see that's a pretty short tail for this female, she's probably about 6.5 feet long. So a good sized adult boa. But these are really cool animals. I only have one pair of them. I tried breeding them this year. Unfortunately, wasn't successful. But we'll try again next year. Sometimes you just have to give it a go for a second time. And this particular animal is from a bloodline known as the Orange Crush bloodline that was established by Joe Terry. So just a really cool animal. This one has kind of more of a orangish magenta coloration. Some of the other bloodlines have more of a gray or silver coloration. But Boa Constrictor amarali, definitely one of the most handleable pet boas. Next on my list of favorite boas to handle is the first of several types of dwarf boa. And many people, of course, think boa constrictors are giant snakes, which they really aren't. Even the largest are somewhere in the range of about 12 to 13 feet, extremely rare. Most forms get to be somewhere in the 6 to 8 foot range as adults, but there are dwarf forms which max out at about 3.5 to about 6 feet. And so this guy is called a Cockerkey Boa. He's from a small island off the coast of Belize. And what happened is many thousands of years ago, larger boas made it to the island from the mainland. And because of the short food supply, they adapted to this smaller size. This guy is a 9-year-old adult. He's about 4 feet long, bred by my friend Michael Beach in Oregon. And just a really great boa to handle. Even though he has the smaller size, he's got all of the behaviors of larger boa constrictors. You can see the muscle, you know, inch for inch, he's every bit as strong and powerful as my true red tails and my larger boas. So just really enjoy handling this guy because, you know, he's got a really good feel to the hand and he's got the nice muscle. So it gives me the full-size boa constrictor experience in a pint-sized package. And this guy sired a litter this year, his second litter with me. And so those babies are going to be available soon. But great boa. Also, I love the appearance of these guys. It's kind of an anerythristic looking boa with this beautiful silvery gray coloration and the beautiful white belly. The Cockerkey Boa from Belize, a great pet dwarf boa constrictor. Next, we have another dwarf boa from an island off the coast of Belize that's overall pretty similar to the Cockerkey Boa, but also quite distinctive, and that's the Cockerkey Boa. These guys are actually from another small island, not that far from Cockerkey, and they've evolved independently from the mainland boas for many thousands of years, also to this small dwarf form. Overall, you can see they do have the gray anerythristic appearance of the Cockerkey, but they're different in that they're darker overall. They have kind of a more dark gray with these black bands, or these black saddles rather. They have these very well-defined blocky saddles. Overall, they're a little bit stouter, a little bit thicker, more muscular, and just another great snake to handle. This guy is now 6 years old, and this guy actually sired his first litter this year. I was really happy to produce these Cockerkey Boas, and they've really grown on me since I got my pair. You know, I originally wasn't even planning on getting them because I thought they were so similar to the Cockerkey, but I got the pair and they're just definitely a little bit different. Just a really neat dwarf boa from Belize. Not sure if I like these better than the Cockerkey. I think they're both great boas, but if you want a small boa that's a lot of fun to handle, the Cockerkey is a really great fit. And the third representative of my 3 favorite dwarf boas is this one, of course, the Tarjimarda Mountain Dwarf Boa from northern Mexico, which is arguably the smallest of the locality boas. This is a 5-year-old female born here in 2017. She actually had her first litter this year, nice litter of 6 babies. And you can see she's maybe 4 feet long, really a small boa, no bigger than a corn snake or ball python or, you know, something like that. You know, so definitely not a giant snake. So I always grab a Tarjimarda when someone tells me that they think that boas are giant snakes, just to kind of, you know, show them different. And these Tarjimarda boas have gotten really popular lately. You know, they used to be fairly easy to find and fairly common, and it seems like the supply dried up. And a few years ago, people just started really liking them because they have the beautiful dark coloration, kind of like an Argentine boa, but in a much smaller size. So these are a great boa for somebody looking for something that doesn't take up too much space. And so, unfortunately, there's not a lot of them to go around now. As I mentioned, my litter this year was only 6 babies. They don't typically have very large litters because they're small boas. So I hope to produce more of these next year, and hopefully the supply will go up, because these are a great boa to work with, especially if you're looking for a mellow animal that doesn't move around very much and it's just a joy to take out and handle. Although I primarily work with locality-specific boas, I do have a few morph boas, some of which I really enjoy handling, like this guy. So this guy is a Moonglow, which is a combination of 3 different morph genes. So we have the albino or amelanistic, lacking the dark pigment. We have the anerythristic gene, which is lacking the reds and yellows. And we have the hypomelanistic gene, which makes the animal lighter overall and alters the pattern. And together they produce this really striking, beautiful, glowing pale yellow snake. So these guys have a very faint pattern. You can see the ground color of the snake is this really pale yellow, almost like the glow of the moon. They have these really cool light eyes, and they have these white markings, which are kind of hard to see. But they're not like truly white snakes. It's just this beautiful pale yellow color. Really a beautiful, striking animal to look at. I know that most of you guys who view the channel based on your comments are really a lot more into the locality specific boas, but I think morphs are really a great complement to keeping locality boas, because you can learn so much about genetics. They're really enjoyable to keep as pets and to breed for the different traits, to see how the traits go together, and they're just so striking to look at. When someone who is a friend of mine who doesn't keep boas comes over, this is one of the most common snakes I'll take out to show them. Some people don't even believe this is a real snake. It just looks so unique and just so cool. But this guy is, what's he, about 2.5 years old now? So he's a sub-adult. Really enjoyable animal to handle, pretty mellow, and just really striking to look at. And so I hope to pair this guy up with some of my more females in the years ahead, and hopefully produce some more of these cool morph boas. Although again, my main emphasis is on locality boas, and about 90% of the breedings that I do are the locality specific boas. One more morph boa that definitely ranks high on my list of favorites to take out and handle is this guy. This is a VpiT positive albino. And so the VpiT positive albino is a tyrosinase positive form. So this type of albinism doesn't have complete disruption of the dark pigment. So there is a little bit of dark pigment, but you can see this animal has a greatly different appearance from a wild type animal, a much lighter overall golden yellow coloration. And what I like about these VpiT positives is they don't scream that they're a morph. They're not nearly as morph looking, unnatural looking as like a call or sharp albino that has that bright orange and white coloration. So this guy is now, let's see, 5 years old. So pretty good size adult, probably about 6.5 feet or so. Really muscular, really stocky. And this guy's, I really like holding him because he's really mellow. And I also like that the fact he's just a single gene morph. You might see all these combo morphs available, and really that's what most people are doing. They're combining multiple genes in one snake. But you can just take a 1 gene snake like this VpiT positive, and I think it really shows how much the impact is of the 1 gene. And some single gene animals I just like better overall than the combos. Sometimes when you combine a bunch of genes, you just lose the impact of each gene and they just kind of get all washed out. But this VpiT positive also shows that the morph boas don't necessarily have to look like genetic freaks. This is just a really cool looking light boa that has the same pattern as the wild type boas, but overall a lighter color. So a great morph to work with, the VpiT positive, either on its own or as a combo. Getting back to the realm of locality specific boas, a few more examples of ones I really enjoy handling. And no surprise that the Argentine Boa, which is one of my all-time favorite localities, would need a representative on this list. This is a Max Pink Argentine Boa male. This guy is a 2018 born animal. And this particular animal has been selectively bred to have this pink coloration. You can see on his back he's got these pink purple areas between the saddles. So Argentine Boas normally have these as neonates, but typically the pink coloration fades within the first 6 months to a year. This particular bloodline has been selectively bred to retain this pink coloration. So beyond the beautiful coloration and the beautiful pattern, I just really love handling this guy. He's super mellow and just a really striking animal to handle. I love the color and pattern of Argentine Boas. They've pretty much been my favorite locality boa since I got into the locality boa hobby, and recently they've just become super popular. You know, the supply hasn't been that high lately as the demand has gone up, so unfortunately I don't have any baby Argentines this year. I did pair this guy up and attempt to produce some, but it, you know, just didn't work. But so hopefully next year I'll be able to offer some baby Argentine Boas. But great animal to handle, this Max Pink Argentine Boa. This list of my most handleable boas has already exceeded the length that I originally intended for this video, but there's a couple more that I definitely have to add to the list. And this is an animal that was born here in 2019. This is a Hog Island Boa. And Hog Islands, as you may know, are one of the original locality boas from a small island off the coast of Honduras. But they're a naturally occurring hypomelanistic form of boa with less dark pigment, and they have a lot of beautiful pinks and oranges and even some blue and green coloration. So this female was born here in 2019, and she was from a pure Sears bloodline from Vin Russo, crossed with an unrelated female that I got from Ron Greenberg. And I just really love the look of these babies. So compared to the pure Sears bloodline animals that I have, they're a little bit darker, but they're definitely more contrasty and more colorful. And so this female just has so much coloration in her sides. These Hog Islands are definitely one of the most colorful boas. They're kind of a medium-sized boa, typically reaching about 5 or 6 feet as adults. They're pretty mellow to handle, you know, pretty chill boa. But just beautiful to look at, and just look at those colors. So I only had one litter of the same cross. I tried to breed that female again with my Sears bloodline male last year. Unfortunately, it didn't take. I think my male might be just tired of breeding since he hasn't shown much breeding interest in the last couple years. So I have some males that I'm growing up that will hold back, so hopefully they'll be ready to breed soon, and I will be able to produce some of these beautiful Hog Island Boas again, since it's been a few years. And I know how popular they are, but the popularity is well deserved because they're such a beautiful, cool, colorful example of a locality specific boa. One more locality specific boa that I really enjoy handling is this one. So this is the last, but definitely not the least addition to the list. This is a Columbian Boa, produced by my buddy Michael Beach. And this particular female is about a little over 2 years old. So the Columbian Boas grow quite a bit faster than their true red tail counterparts. My true red tails of this age are at least a foot shorter, probably about half of the mass or even less than this Branchia female. So these guys are a form of Boa imperator, the common boa. But if you look on a map of South America, the range of them is very close to the true red-tailed boa, boa constrictor, so they have a lot of the beautiful coloration and the attributes of the true red tail. But they're also more laid back and docile and more handleable in general, as well as being easier as far as the husbandry. So these are, as far as I'm concerned, the all-time best pet boa, the Columbian Boa imperator. And so the Branchia are a form from a city in northern Colombia, and you can see the beautiful coloration of this female. She's got this really beautiful pinkish, orangish coloration. Very mellow animal. I just love handling this female. And I was really lucky to get this nice trio of 2 females and a male from Michael. So I'm growing these up, and it'll be another couple years before they're ready to breed, but looking forward to the potential results from this project. So Branchia Columbia Boas are great to handle, as are pretty much all Columbian Boas in general. So if you're looking for your first pet boa, you can't go wrong with a Columbian Boa Imperator. So that was my list of some of my favorite boas to handle. Now I'd like to hear from you. What is your favorite boa to handle that you have in your collection? Please comment below and let the viewership know. So I hope you enjoyed this video and it was somewhat helpful. As always, shoot me any questions or comments you may have. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your boas.